here on UTC Radio 2 starting out this morning. My name is Tom Bauer. You are listening to Radio 2. How much do you love this guy? You know someone who really loves spending time with their friends? Well, then check this out. You can now share a glass of wine with the cat you want. In Japan, the latest trend is wine for cats, or as they call it over there, meow meow. Now, the wine itself doesn't have any alcohol in it, but it's fun to indicate that wine is fun. It replaces the alcohol. So on a Friday night, you can just stay in, have a few glasses of wine, and your cat's sitting right at the bar next to you, go on the back into them, talking all about the master and everything. Here's one from Joe Haas, because he's on a dime.
Finding this hostel on Booking.com, where you also find her. A romantic fumble at this romantic chateau leads to these fine humans. The detective's eagle lodge to get seriously close to nature. Then you check in with her at this tropical paradise, before soaring over this castle resort with your father-in-law, who finally seems to like you. Life can be like that when you get it booking right. Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
They made the story about Lubo. They should say no comment to every single one of them until the media smartens up, because, I mean, they just dragged the last caller said perfectly. Free. Why would a free agent want to come here?
Yeah, and you know what?
Got that crap in the media.
Totally. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate your time. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. And that's another side of this issue too, George. Is who wants to play here? Yeah, but honest to God, I don't agree with that, Dean. Because if you're playing poorly, sometimes you have to answer questions on why you're playing poorly. They've answered the question, right? But to say that no comment. No, you can't do it that way, because Phil, why didn't you back check on that winning bowl when you were straight-legged, not even skating back? That's a fair question. Yeah, it is. And if you want to ask performance on the ice, that's fair game, and they should be obligated to answer those questions, not personal attacks. We'll take some more of your phone calls coming up on the show in just a few minutes. So hold on for that 7-11 right now. You're listening to Dean Blundell and Company, George Russick, Kayla Harris, Ryan Fabro, Ryan Mon. 7-11. Switching gears quickly, joining us on the telephone, Boomer Esiason. Yes, that Boomer Esiason. You're a huge Rangers fan. Listen, thanks for your time. Big Rangers. How excited were you to put all his chips in before the trade deadline?
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting. We have a very young team. About 8 or 9 guys are 25 years or younger on our team. We have about 3 or 4 really good prospects. And, of course, in order to get Keith Handel here, we had to give up Anthony Duclair, the first one, draft pick, for future years. And nobody likes to lose high-end prospects like that. But if you want a high-end player that you really feel is going to fill a major desperate need for you when you're in the midst of a Stanley Cup run, and who's only 26 or 27 himself, I think you got to take that chance. Glenn Taylor has not won a Stanley Cup here. We haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1994. The great Mark Messier led us to the promised land. And Glenn has been always active at the trade deadline. There was a time here where it was always about free agents. And I think John Tortorella changed that about 5 or 6 years ago when he got here. And it was about building around a core group of players, most notably Henrik Lundqvist. And then when you have guys like Mark Stahl and Dan Girardi and Ryan McDonough and Derek Stepan and Chris Kreider, Kevin Hayes now and Matt Zuccarello and Carl Hagelin, young players like that, that's the core group of who this team is really all about. And he's stuck with that. He's added pieces like Rick Nash and Derek Brassard, and of course adding Keith Handel now to the mix, along with Dan Boyle, who he brought in this offseason as a free agent. It's been a really, really good coming together moment for the New York Rangers. They have as good a chance as anybody here in the Eastern Conference to make it to the finals again.
Boomer Esiason from the NFL on CBS and Boomer and Carton on WFAN New York. Boomer, I have to ask you, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, and that Chris Kreider playing the Eastern Conference Finals last season. Cool. Accidentally on purpose, Boomer?
You know, this is a man's sport, isn't it? So and realize that things happen, and, you know, it's unfortunate that Carey Price was knocked out. I'm sure the Canadian fans up there would love to have another shot at us in this year's playoff. You know, last year there were a number of times that we actually got screwed in the playoffs with bad calls here and there. Chris Kreider, I watched him at Boston College. My kids went to school with him there. I knew him from, you know, his junior years. He is a great physical hockey player. He does not have a dirty bone in his body, and it was unfortunate what happened to Carey Price. But, you know, Sikorsky actually played pretty damn good in his place, so it was a great series. But the Brandon Plush shot, I think, on Derek Stefan's jaw was broken. We lost him for a few games. Was probably a little bit more cheap than that of Chris Kreider or Carey Price.
Boomer, let me ask you a couple questions here, if I can. And thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, this is cool. It's really cool for me. I was a Bengals fan. As an Icky Woods fan, I still do the shuffle when I get out of bed in the morning. But let me ask you a couple questions. So you watch what happens here in Toronto with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's not a case of just can't get it together. And I don't know if it's cursed, but it doesn't matter how much money we throw at this thing. It's very New York Knicks-like. You know, it seems to be a wonderful opportunity for people to complain, especially a Toronto sports fan, complain not just